Hello and welcome to your lunch break. I very much congratulate you on having made it thus far. We are here at the EXPO stage. My name is Florian Marcus and I will be your moderator for several of the breaks today and also tomorrow. So whenever you fancy a tiny snack, have a lovely conversation here in the lounge, then this is the right place for you. We will accompany this food and good conversation with a lovely conversation here on stage about different topics that all, at the end of the day, link into trusted connectivity. And perhaps the best way to start this is, when we talk about connectivity and trusted connectivity, is about AI and data infrastructures. At the end of the day, this is the lifeblood of a digital society and a more digitalized and globalized world. So today we want to talk first about how we can increase efficiency with AI and building data infrastructure centers as well. Now, before we have a small company introduction video, I would like to welcome on stage, please give a bit of applause to the head of AI at RA Technologies, Eduard Petlenkov, and the CEO of Greenergy Data Centers, Tõnu Grünberg. Let's take a look. So, you may wonder, please take a seat, gentlemen. You may wonder what exactly RA Technologies and Greenergy Data Centers do, and we will have small pitches in just a minute, but first we have an introductory video from a good colleague of mine.
RA Technologies is at the front line of solving the energy crisis through artificial intelligence technology. Increasing energy efficiency and sustainability goals in commercial real estate has never been so simple. RA Digital Operator is award-winning AI-powered heating, ventilation and air conditioning solution that integrates quickly with all modern building management systems. Energy savings and CO2 emission reduction up to 30%. Greenergy Data Centers is the largest data center in the Baltics. Their facility in Tallinn is the Baltics' most energy-efficient and secure data center. With multiple levels of security, keeping your assets safe, duplicated systems offering high reliability, and electricity from renewable energy sources, keeping the ecological footprint low.
Well, wonderful. This was a very good first introduction, and perhaps, Eduard, you can tell us more about what you do as head of AI at RA Technologies.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you for this opportunity. And in fact, I'm holding two positions. So I am an AI lead in the company RA Technology and also a full professor at Tallinn University of Technology. So here I want to show an example of successful technology transfer where cutting-edge research and AI-based technology can save energy. So nowadays we're facing energy crisis. It's obvious, and of course we have to think about reducing our energy consumption in different ways. But the good news is that any crisis is first of all a challenge for new technologies. Let me bring an example of recent coronavirus. During that period, working from home offices, using virtual meetings, etc., became new normality, and this is because of the technologies that, in fact, were available already before the crisis started. We just started massively utilizing this technology, and it stays with us nowadays, making our work more productive. Artificial intelligence is a kind of new modern tool that will not replace people, but it will help people to make their work in a more productive way. It helps to solve the tasks that a human cannot do alone. Exactly like computers brought our productivity to a new level in the end of the last century. Nowadays we can say that about 40% of total energy is consumed by buildings. And why do buildings consume energy? This is because of it is in order to provide a good indoor climate, temperature, CO2 level, humidity, etc. So here we raise the question, is it possible to consume less energy without compromising the indoor climate, without reducing the comfort level? And the answer is yes. And this is where artificial intelligence can help us. Let's take a small example. An average size office building may have approximately 50,000 measured points, measured in real time, data points. And about 3,000 of them are controllable and directly influence energy consumption. So in order to tune such a system in the most energy efficient way, one should take into account things like weather condition, technical condition, occupancy levels, energy prices, some previous experience, etc. This is, you can see that the human brain is just not efficient enough to process all this amount of data, but artificial intelligence can work 24/7. Predicting dynamics of the buildings, making online optimizations and optimizations 24 hours ahead. And the more data we have, the better system gets, the smarter it gets. And an intelligent ecosystem and smart building can also contribute to energy security. And buildings can learn from each other and exchange this knowledge. So I would like to summarize by saying that nowadays we can save 15 up to 30% of energy in buildings, even without compromising the comfort level. And the technology is there. And R8 technology provides it. So, ready.
Thank you very much. I'm going to have to call you later because my energy bill is starting to look unacceptable. So maybe we can have a conversation. And of course, you mentioned also that this is also about resilience at the end of the day on a national and international level if we are less energy dependent. Thank you so much for that insight. Second, as the CEO of Greenergy Data Centers, Tõnu, what exactly do you work on a daily basis?
Yes, thank you for having me here. Let's look at the world as we stand today. Basically, we are relying on e-services and knowledge economy all over. So there is no more important thing to really also protect. So what is then actually so critical is that we have the place to store all this data. First, let's look at the data itself. The knowledge economy is generating zettabytes after zettabytes of data. So from 2010 to 2025, the growth is actually 150 times. So all this data need to be somewhere. And actually there, what comes to the Greenergy data centers, we come to play. Of course, we are one of the hundreds or thousands of data centers all over the world. But basically, all the bits and bytes and all our services and the applications need to reside somewhere. First, they need to be secure. Secondly, they need to be reliably handled. So not for a single second there should be any break in electricity or connectivity. We have the motto of today's event as a connectivity. That's very important. And thirdly, of course, we all want to have efficiency, energy efficiency, green approach to the data. Now, so basically, data centers today are consuming about 2% of the global electricity. It's actually huge. And internet as such, 10%. So the growth estimate is that actually data centers will grow to 10% in 2030. So it's basically every 10th kilowatt is going to data center, which actually stores this data. Now, let's come back to the security. Those days, obviously, security cannot be really doubted by anybody, given the situation in the wide world. So protecting your data and applications somewhere is absolutely the top-notch priority for many companies, for many governments as like. So basically, to get the security, you need a facility to really store your data, has to be surveyed 24/7, Basically has to be guarded, has to be cybersecurity involved. So there is many things which actually security involves when you really build a data center of modern standards. Secondly, it has to provide the reliable service which is up 100% of the time, which then means that there has to be electricity supply which is uninterrupted. So there has to be all the different cables coming in. You have the diesels, you have the solars, you have everything you need to really keep this up. So definitely the efficiency cannot be compromised in any way. You need connectivity, which means that internet has to be provided those who really keep the applications there. So there is many aspects in the reliability as well. And of course now coming to the third one, which is then green energy usage. So basically, as I just told, how much electricity actually goes to protect our data and keep our data somewhere in servers. So it has to be done most efficient way. There is actually a measure for the data centers. It's energy usage efficiency measure. So usually it's something 1.5 up to 2, which means then for every kilowatt of electricity you use for kind of keeping your data alive, you also use something 50% or more data for cooling, for office functions, and that has to be kept brought down, which we're actually doing. So in Greenergy data centers we are achieving 1.2, which is really the top standard available. So that is really those three things, just to mention again: security, reliability, and energy efficiency, which is absolutely three things which we can provide. And now I look forward really to expand this Greenergy data centers concept to other countries, to the Baltics, because we are the only purpose-built data center of highest standards available in this region. That's why I really hope that we can multiply this concept to other countries. We are actually investment of 3C's investment fund. So we are the first digital investment of the 3C's investment fund. So basically we can and we would like to expand this concept to other countries. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that insight. What you just mentioned with the 3C's initiative as well, I think this really reflects the strategic importance of data and energy resilience and availability at all times. Because precisely as you said, I mean, in Estonia we've been quite digital for many years, but we can see several initiatives on the European Union level and elsewhere about digitalizing the public sector, the private sector hand in hand as well, building these ecosystems. So it will only become more important, exactly as you said. The first question that I would ask both of you, of course you're coming at this topic from different angles, is what kind of challenges do you face when trying to address greater efficiency from your angle? Is it an infrastructural question? Is it a regulatory? Is it a customer mindset? Sort of where are the bottlenecks? Perhaps we start with Eduard.
Okay, thank you for the question. In fact, maybe there are several bottlenecks. I want to emphasize here the mindset of people. When we talk about artificial intelligence, it's not something dangerous that comes to replace people. No, it's a kind of new tool, because the technology develops and new tools come. Computers came at one moment, nowadays artificial intelligence come up. And in fact, everybody who is entering our ecosystem makes this system more powerful. It's a possibility to gain new knowledge. Because when you're working alone, you're alone. And in this system, artificial intelligence helps to collect knowledge from different countries. And you have a huge amount of experiences. So this is what people have to think about. So not be afraid of this artificial intelligence and new technology. Because when dealing with this energy crisis, so I think that in fact now it's time for IT technology. So the solution to energy crisis is in fact in IT sector. in digitalization.
I have to ask a follow-up question. Is there a particular business area or organizational level that is particularly, I don't want to say skeptical, but slow to accept these new technologies? Or would you say it's just human nature that we have to...
I think it's human nature.
Okay.
It's not some area specific.
Okay, all right. Tõnu, your thoughts, please.
Yes, thank you. I would like to stress one moment here. So what we see very often is that our potential customers, let's say, they keep their servers in their back office somewhere in a cupboard or in an office room, which is actually not at all resilient, not at all safe, secure, reliable way to do. And actually to persuade really businesses and of course also some government agencies to look at the security measures they take for this kind of very important services they provide, is that they choose the professional companies to protect their data. And that's actually the challenge we see. It's like a mindset challenge, let's say. Of course, there are many others, so there are always regulation can be better, the electricity supply can be better, so connectivity can be better. But I would say here in Estonia, mostly we have it all, what takes to really protect your data and keep it safe. But it comes to the mindset, so many smaller companies actually are keeping their servers just where they shouldn't be, actually, yeah.
You've sort of touched on the topic already, and I would ask the same question to both of you. What does your current average customer look like, and where do you think there is a lot more potential for expansion in your particular areas?
Okay, our customers are owners of commercial real estate. So the buildings, they like shopping malls, offices, hotels, and our main task is to have more buildings outside Estonia and Europe. In fact, we already have, and we are developing an ecosystem of building that should be a kind of European and maybe worldwide network, and of course new types of buildings we're waiting. So.
Interesting.
Yeah, in our case, our customers are from all walks of life, honestly. Anybody who has IT infrastructure basically could potentially be our client. It comes from the small companies to big companies to associations like kind of third-party type of companies, and of course the government itself, so government agencies. So basically we can say everybody could be our customer who actually has any data to protect in their own. Of course, there are service providers in the cloud, but again, so the cloud providers also keep their data somewhere. So data centers as such are really the best places to keep the data safe.
If I may add something. In fact, when talking about our clients or beneficiaries are not only our direct clients, but the whole society, because as I mentioned in my speech, the larger network of buildings we have, the better energy security we can provide. So we are also contributing balancing of network.
Mm-hmm. What stood out to me is that I think you've mentioned mostly the private sector being involved with your solutions. You have mentioned that there have been some interactions with government also where services are run by your data centers. Is that correct?
Yes, usually if you look at the government, so in most of the countries and most of the time governments keep their own data centers, so they basically they keep their own data, which are understandable, but everything moves actually, if it's a trusted partnership, which we are talking now in this event much, so there is actually the private sector has a role. So as we are actually developers of the many applications which government is using, we can also be the storage place, secure storage place where the government. So that's actually the perspective which we would really like to emphasize, that that's the perspective worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
In our case, it's also not only private sector, because buildings belong to government also.
Precisely, yes. Looking abroad, you mentioned that you're already dealing with markets in Europe. You're also looking to expand. Depending on the stage that you're currently at, of course, energy and data seem like pretty universal topics, so they concern all of us. But do the different target markets also pose different challenges, or do you feel that the hurdles or also the benefits that most people see are the same across the board?
I would say that clients start more and more thinking about security of data, and this is what we are really paying attention at the moment. So they don't think only about saving money, but having data secured. This is one of our priorities, and I think this is right moment to give the floor to my colleague.
Yeah, I think that's generally the target markets are more or less the same in the sense that everybody has the same strive to the e-services, developing more online services, generating more data. It's whatever country you look at or whatever market you look at, it's exactly the same problems to solve. So in that sense, what data centers provide is exactly the same thing, to keep your data, to keep the best possible way, safe, secure, and of course most efficient from energy usage perspective.
Very well, gentlemen. That was very insightful. Do you have any last things that you want to mention before we head on to the next topic? Any last thoughts that you want to share with the audience?
Yeah, if I may start. So basically, I think just as a far cry for kind of what we should do when we enter the information society more and more. So the protecting the data, the cyber security, and of course the physical security of data, it cannot be underestimated. We see what happens in a world where the autocracies really attack everybody, and that's the hybrid war. So we have to be very careful, and please keep your data safe.
Please keep your data safe, please keep your energy consumption low, and stay resilient in a trusted, connected society. Thank you so much to both of you. Ladies and gentlemen, both here and at home, please give these two gentlemen a bit of applause. Thank you very much.